Welcome to the Living a Nordic Life podcast, where we explore a simpler, cosier and more intentional life the Nordic way. I'm Fiona McKenna, your Nordic living guide and founder of Living a Nordic Life, where I share all things Nordic living and show you that a Nordic life is the way to bring intentional calm and healthy habits into your own life, wherever you are in the world. Are you looking for ways to bring simplicity, coziness and calm into your life? Well, let me show you how. Visit the Living a Nordic Life website to explore how I can help you on your journey to simple, healthy and happy calm, the Nordic way. You can subscribe to the podcast right here. And if you want regular inspirational emails sent with love from Norway and straight to your inbox, don't forget to subscribe to the Living a Nordic Life newsletters. And so now let's dive into our episode. Hello, and today I have a slightly shorter episode for you, but it's one that I hope will make you think a little bit, perhaps completely disagree with me, or maybe totally agree with me, who knows. I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here with this one because I want to talk to you about procrastination. Do you ever find yourself putting things off that really should be done right now? We all do that, don't we? But gosh, in today's society, perish the thought that you should ever do that. How dare you? How very dare you put something off that should be done today? Maybe you try to convince yourself that you work better under pressure, and that's why you put things off. But I can promise you, whatever you're thinking, you're not on your own. We all do it. Everybody. We all have moments where we give in to the temptation of procrastination, putting things off until tomorrow, or maybe the day after tomorrow, or perhaps next week or next month, or maybe even next year, or perhaps never. And at this time of year, in the middle of the winter, we're all kind of slowing down a little bit. Some of us like to hibernate as much as possible. And others of us like to embrace the fresh winter air and get outside and be active. But we still slow down a little bit. A few weeks ago, Andrea and I were discussing procrastination, mostly because it's something that we try not to do. If we can, I have an awful lot of to-do lists, and they tend not to be anything too big, although I have lists that are for things for bigger projects, and then I kind of break those down. And I have reasons for that as well. But it got me wondering, is procrastination actually something that could be beneficial? Or is it simply an excuse for avoiding the things that we really should be doing right now? It's a controversial one, isn't it? Because some people think it's great, some people have no opinion on it whatsoever. And for others, it's the worst thing ever. And we're made to think that it's the worst thing ever as well. We should be busy, all the time. Never a moment stopping. And especially as women, we're encouraged to constantly be doing something. There's some kind of some sort of special badge to being a busy mum, a busy working mum, all this kind of stuff that probably is not really that positive. But it actually got us talking about these things. And I want to talk to you about it now, not in a way that's going to start a civil war, but enough to be the catalyst for maybe an interesting dinner party debate or a chat with your friends, or maybe something you want to message me here. Go right ahead. I'd love to hear from you. And it's a question that people will have on one side and the other. We'll either be one side of the fence or the other. Probably not sitting on the fence. And it's a bit like Marmite or lutefisk. If you don't know what Marmite is, if you're British or you're Australian, you will know what Marmite is. It's this kind of, it's this stuff that we spread on bread. And it comes in a glass jar. And it's dark brown, really dark brown and sticky and salty. It's savoury. And you put a thick layer of butter, proper butter, on your bread, and then a thin layer of Marmite. Well, you either love Marmite or you hate it. There's nothing in between. So that's what we say, that something is like Marmite. You either hate it or you love it. You're not kind of like, yeah, it's okay, it'll do. And that's a bit like procrastination. So let's look at the pros of procrastination. What are the benefits of it? And believe it or not, it's not always a bad thing. In some cases, it can lead to more creativity and some innovative thinking. And when we procrastinate, our minds wander a little bit. We allow ourselves to approach tasks from different angles and come up with new ideas, fresh ideas, maybe ways to avoid doing it in that certain way. Perhaps it's not the task itself that we're procrastinating about, perhaps it's the way we're going about it. And this unique form of mental downtime can be the perfect place for innovative solutions and less conventional thinking. It's a bit like the power of boring or the power of boredom. I have a podcast episode, you have to go and listen to it, about the power of boring. It's a shortish one, a bit like this, because we do live in a slightly boring village here in Norway. Nothing exciting ever happens. But there is a safety that comes from boring. You don't want your entire life to be boring, but there is a safety that comes from having some things that are boring. You don't have to think too much about them. You don't have to worry about them. They can go on the back burner, and your mind and your energy can go into something else. Also, when we're bored, this has been proven with kids, that we actually become more creative. We find ways to entertain ourselves. We find things to do. And that's when creative ideas come out. But furthermore, procrastination can serve as a natural stress reliever. By delaying tasks, we temporarily escape that pressure and the expectations that are put upon us. That's what I was just talking about with us as women, because I think a lot of you listening to this are women, and we have this pressure on us, don't we, to be busy all the time and to not put things off, to do it now. It must be done now, straight away, as quickly as possible. Procrastination can give us a well-needed mental holiday, and this break can sometimes lead to a refreshed look at things when we finally do the tasks that we have been putting off. It's like a little bit of a holiday for our minds. But let's look at the other side of it. What's the downside of procrastination? Maybe this is where you stand, and this is where we're brought up to think, isn't it? And that is that procrastination can easily spiral out of control. It can lead to missed deadlines, perhaps important work deadlines, perhaps not important work deadlines, perhaps deadlines within your own life that you don't want to miss. And that in turn can move into increased stress levels and a decline in the quality of our work, whatever that happens to be, because we're rushing things. We've got to get it finished because we've put it off for a week and it needs to be done in an hour. Now we've got to get it finished, quick. Constantly pushing tasks to the last minute can create this kind of cycle of anxiety and guilt that just is not healthy. It increases your stress hormones, and that's really bad for our entire body. It can impact negatively our overall well-being, both mental and physical, and also impact our productivity. And that makes us feel a bit crappy about ourselves, doesn't it? Because we just don't seem to be getting anything done. On top of that, procrastination really most often results in rushed work, because we rush to finish tasks in a limited time. And this rush job can compromise the quality of whatever we're doing. It might be something personal or work-related, or detracting from the value that we could have delivered if we'd simply given it a little more time and priority. So in a professional setting, consistently procrastinating can damage our reputations and our credibility, and possibly even our jobs. If it's important, might be able to put it off a little bit, but yeah, it's probably not something you want to do regularly. So here's the question. Is it ever possible to find a balance? Is procrastination a good thing? Or is it the absolute worst thing in the world? And the answer is all about balance. You can embrace occasional procrastination because it can be a wonderful kick for our creativity and stress relief. However, allowing procrastination to become a chronic habit, and chronic is the key word there, something that you're doing all the time, it can lead to something quite detrimental, to consequences that we might not be able to foresee. To harness the benefits of procrastination without falling into its endless grasp, it's essential we try our best to be aware of it and tune into ourselves enough to be able to manage our time properly. We need to set realistic deadlines, not something crazy that you think, deep down that you're never going to reach that deadline. That's when we start to procrastinate, isn't it? We need to break tasks into smaller steps. That's where it's good to have to-do lists. I'm going to record another podcast actually about to-do lists because I love them. And people don't always like them. They have a bit of a bad press, I think. But I have some tips that I think might make you love them if you're on the fence with this. But that's another one. And we need to help ourselves find the balance between productive delay and harmful procrastination. There can be something in between. Procrastination isn't inherently good or bad. It's all about moderation, isn't it? With everything, it's about moderation. You can have a bit of something. You just don't need to go crazy with it. It's rather like the Swedish ideal of lagom. Not too much and not too little. Just enough, just the right amount. By understanding when to tap into it for creative insights and when to kick it to the curb with some self-discipline. That way we can find the balance that maximises our efficiency and our well-being. Our mental well-being is important here because pushing ourselves for unrealistic deadlines is not good, but putting everything off until the last minute is also not good. So the next time you find yourself delaying an important task, ask yourself this question. Is this procrastination a clever and strategic pause for reflection? Is it your body telling you something? And is it a chance for your mind to have a little break? Or am I simply avoiding the inevitable? The difference lies in how you manage your moments of delay. Remember, a little bit of procrastination might be just the breath of fresh air that your mind needs. But too much can stifle our potential. So, is procrastination a friend of yours? Or do you run for the hills as soon as you hear it and you have to get everything done straight away? I would love to hear your comments. And I will talk to you soon. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the Living a Nordic Life newsletters so you can get an email when I release a new episode. It's a quick and easy way to keep up with all things Nordic living. Please visit livinganordiclife.com. You can listen to Living a Nordic Life on lots of podcast apps, including Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, and plenty of others. If you've enjoyed the Living a Nordic Life podcast, why not leave me a rating? So that's the end of Living a Nordic Life for today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.